What's up, guys? Trev back again here to bring you another video. This video is going to be talking about Batman The Dark Knight Rises, which hits theaters July 20th, 2012. Very excited for the movie. Can't wait to see it. Going to be the final movie for Christopher Nolan and Christian Bale as Batman. Being as it's going to be a trilogy, pretty much, and this will be the last one, they will continue to make Batman movies, though. We can probably expect every 3 years to get a new one, regardless of whether or not Nolan, Bale, any of these guys are involved. The character is just such a financial property that Warner Brothers will not go without making films based on the character. They just won't do it. It'd be too much of a waste of money because they know that every 2 or 3 years releasing another Batman movie will be profitable no matter what, pretty much. You know, even if it's like Batman and Robin with Arnold Schwarzenegger playing Mr. Freeze and whatever else the foolishness is, people will still go to see it. I did see that movie in the theaters actually when I was younger, so and I don't actually hate that movie either. A lot of people, they hate it. I think it's the worst thing ever. I think it's funny because it doesn't take itself seriously. It's obviously not the best film ever, but it's just I think it's kind of funny for what it is. Anyway, so that being said, a lot of times in trilogies, like we've seen with many franchises in the past, the actors, the director, everybody involved is just getting tired of doing the project. 3 movies, to get 3 movies out of actors and a director and everything like that, that's a good amount. That's success in my opinion, because most of the time what we see is be it like, for example, the X-Men franchise with the X-Men The Last Stand, the 3rd movie. By the time you get around to that 3rd one, even if the actors at the beginning intended to stay on the project, by the time you get to the 3rd one, it becomes very difficult to keep the actors who were involved in the first 2 there. Like, for example, X-Men 3, Cyclops, James Marsters, Marsters, I think. Not Marsden. I always get him confused with Spike from Buffy the Vampire Slayer's name. I think it's Marsters, I think. He decided to do Superman Returns, which was chaos with Bryan Singer, instead of X-Men 3. And so did Bryan Singer. Bryan Singer did the first 2 X-Men movies, and the second one is one of the best comic book movies ever. And by the time the 3rd one rolled around, Bryan Singer was like, no, I'm not doing it. You know, I'm going to do Superman. Like they asked me, Warner Bros. Asked me to do Superman. I'm going to do Superman Returns. And what a big mistake that was, because that movie will go down as probably the worst Superman movie, or one of the worst Superman movies ever, one of the worst comic book movies ever for sure. Easily forgotten. I mean, I don't know many people that would still rewatch that movie or have anything to do with it, because it's just crap. Obviously, another Superman movie coming out next year with the Man of Steel, going to reboot the franchise again probably. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, it's really hard for studios and companies to keep actors and directors around for 3 full movies. It's just very, very difficult to do. We've also seen it with, for example, the Alien franchise, which was very, very popular. Sigourney Weaver playing that Ripley for a long time, playing the character of Ellen Ripley. She played it through the first Alien movie, Aliens, and then Alien 3. And by the time Alien 3 came around, she was just like, I want to die, kill me. I want to die. Don't, you know what I mean? That's like, she insisted that they do that in that movie. Like, she wouldn't do it otherwise. And then they had to throw tons of money at her to get her to come back for Alien Resurrection, which was the 4th movie, which was a disaster. The 3rd movie was a disaster too. But these are just examples of my point that I'm stating, which is to keep these high-paid actors and directors around for 3 movies is a tremendous task. So we're lucky to get this 3rd one. I mean, when Christopher Nolan set out to make the first Batman movie, Batman Begins, his first Batman movie, I should say. Batman Begins. It's obvious that that movie by itself was intending to start, a trilogy probably, or maybe 4 films or whatever. You could just tell from the way that they introduced the character, the depth of the story of Bruce Wayne and of Batman, the ending where they introduce the card with the Joker, very like the depth at which the story takes place. No, the depth of the story is pretty amazing. If you watch Batman Begins again, if many of you haven't seen it for a long time, it is actually one of the best superhero movies ever. I put it number 2, just behind The Dark Knight. Some people think it's better than The Dark Knight, and I can't fault them for that because the complexity of the story is amazing. I mean, the ending of it and that kind of stuff, like just the dialogue too, is so well thought out. You've got Commissioner Gordon. He says, "What about escalation?" And Batman, he kind of looks at him like, escalation, like, what are you talking about? And then Commissioner Gordon says, like, well, we get, Kevlar vests, and they get armor-piercing bullets. We get you. Now, what are they going to get? And then he shows them the Joker card. Like, it's just brilliant stuff. Just brilliant, brilliant stuff. Something that I'd like to see other comic book characters get. Even half of. If they gave any other character like Superman or anybody else even half of as much effort and complexity in terms of the story as Christopher Nolan and the writers for this trilogy put into this, I mean, the movies would be amazing. They really would be, because it's just, the way they weave the story and everything, it's just beautiful the way it comes out. So going on from Batman Begins being one of the best superhero movies ever, the ending being fantastic, where, Batman spreads his wings, flies out of the back of the train thing. It's not a subway train, but like the city train thing that's elevated up. And then Ra's goes down, and starting up the Dark Knight with basically being like, okay, now we've introduced everything. Now let's do the Dark Knight, where we have, the character of Joker, Heath Ledger, and he puts on the best performance of his career, in my opinion, wins an Oscar, does all this stuff. The best comic book movie ever. Okay, so where do we go from there? We have pretty much, that's the meat of the trilogy right there, is the middle part. The beginning, and then, a good part at the end of Batman Begins, and then having the Dark Knight, which is really like, the whole just holy shit factor of everything going on in that, and just how amazing that is from beginning to end of a movie. Where do you go from there? So, as we've seen from the trailers for The Dark Knight Rises, they're going to end it after this one. So how are they going to end it? And the main question of this video, which is, will Christopher Nolan and the writers kill off Batman or Bruce Wayne? Because you have to realize that Batman and Bruce Wayne, even though they're the same person in that world, you can look at them as two separate entities. For example, at the end of The Dark Knight, Batman sort of died. He kind of did. Goes away for 8 years, and then this movie starts after. The Joker kind of wins, so to speak, because he's able to twist Harvey Dent into becoming just like himself, or like a lot of the villains. And so Batman goes, is done, basically. He takes the blame for it, and that's it. He's basically dead at the end of The Dark Knight. Now he's sort of reborn, so to speak, because it's necessary for him to come back with everything that's going on with Bane, and probably Catwoman will be worked in there. But I assume Catwoman will be worked in similar to how Two-Face was, in that she will just be sort of an extra piece in the story to make that story more complex and intricate and enjoyable, which is what they did with the second one. Having Two-Face in there with Harvey Dent and everything with the Joker was brilliant. A lot of people think they should have split it up into different movies. Really, when you look at this trilogy, you could have easily split this trilogy up into 5 or 6 crappier movies. Think about it. When we watch one of these movies, when we watch The Dark Knight, you could have easily split that into 2 movies and just added in some nonsense and split it, but that's not what they're going to do. They're trying to make the best comic book movies ever. And to do that, you're going to need that 2 hours, 2.5 hours, whatever. An hour and 20 minutes just doesn't cut it, There's not CG all over the place. This isn't, basically, this isn't just to try to make money. He's actually trying to make an amazing trilogy, which I think he's succeeding in doing all the way up till now. And it looks like this will be a success too. Christopher Nolan I'm referring to. So will he kill off Batman at the end of The Dark Knight Rises? Well, I think it's either going to be one or the other. It's either going to be Bruce or Batman's going to get killed. Could he kill Bruce Wayne? He could. Could do that. Will he do it? I don't know. It seems like he wants to cap off his trilogy. I don't think he wants anybody else tacking on another movie after what he's done. I think Warner Brothers has already said that they're going to reboot it. That could be because of the writing, because they... he wants to kind of, maybe Christopher Nolan wants to seal it off at the end so that, Batman's basically no more. So we have seen, it looks like that the Bruce may hurt his leg in some capacity. something may happen to his leg. He may break his leg, or something like that in the movie, from jumping off of a balcony possibly, or something like that. Because we do see him with a cane. We see Alfred speaking about protecting him, and not being able to do that, and basically failing in his task to do that. Maybe trying to tell Bruce that that he's important to him, and to leave Batman, just to leave it. But then Bruce can't. He can't just leave it and just move on with his life. Well, or that is sort of like part of him, and probably he may become depressed without that. I mean, we'll see what kind of state we visit Bruce in The Dark Knight Rises after he's been, he has not been Batman for 8 years, which is a long time. So I think either way, one of the two is going to die. I don't think we're going to see the ending of The Dark Knight Rises and just have Batman, defeat Bane, Catwoman, the whole thing, and then just, have it end with him, stopping some other random criminals or something, or on a rooftop or something like that. I think that would be a great ending. I think that would be very cool to see, because the title is Rises. So it seems like to me it's going to start off with him sort of not being Batman, just Bruce Wayne. Then there's going to become the necessity for him to come back. He's probably going to lose in a fight to Bane, and maybe with Catwoman involved. And then, asking Bane to kill him, this kind of stuff, or asking why he hasn't. Bane won't do it. He just wants to see him suffer, yada, yada, and beat him, which is interesting too, I think. And then afterwards have Batman come back and defeat Bane, probably. There are also pieces of promotional art where you'll see like the Bat mask, which is broken. So that, sort of symbolizing that Bane will break the bat just like he did in the comic books. And, I'm not really sure. I'm assuming that's going to be the half part. I don't think Bane's going to win at the end. There is also a possibility that Batman may not be able to defeat Bane without sacrificing himself, which for Gotham, which I think would be a beautiful ending to see. So will Batman or Bruce Wayne die at the end of the movie? Man, it's tough to make a prediction on it. I tend to say I think he probably won't, but I wouldn't be necessarily surprised if he did, because like I said, there's the rule of the trilogy where everybody dies in the third one, like X-Men, killing off Professor Xavier, like what the hell, killing off Cyclops, like what, or seemingly, and killing off Jean Grey, like what, well, actually that makes sense, never mind. But the others, and there's the rule of the trilogy, so that you have to do it. But I think that they're probably going to try to relate this one back to Batman Begins a lot, possibly having Bane be involved in the League of Shadows and knowing who Batman is right off the bat and going after him. So I think it's going to be really interesting, and I can't wait to see The Dark Knight Rises, because I think it's going to tie the whole thing into a trilogy, and it's all going to feel like one coherent story. The same way that the end of Batman Begins introducing the Joker, and then the start of The Dark Knight sort of fuses together because of that. It's planned out to work that way. So is the third movie to relate back to the first. Which ending would I prefer? I think I would kind of prefer the ending that Batman wins, and then either just says goodbye to Batman, and that's it. His body is thrashed, so he can't do it anymore, and gives it up, lets it go, or possibly, the second option, he can't do that, and he goes down with Bane, or he basically dies defeating him, this kind of thing. Or maybe that he does defeat him, and we just get to see him sort of heroically standing on the building at the end. The thing is with it is that, the whole heroic ending thing, happy ending, so to speak, the problem with that is then it leaves it open for them to start another, to add on to it, to tack onto it. And I don't think any director is going to be able to walk in there and tack on to what Nolan has done. I mean, I don't think they will be able to. Warner Brothers says they're not going to. So it kind of comes down to the question of, did he write it into the end to make it so that no other director can come in and go after what he did and create a quote-unquote fourth movie in the series to make it like a quadrilogy? Or did he have some kind of agreement with Warner Brothers and let them know that after this, you will not, tack on at the end of my trilogy and try to say that, this is part of what I've done. You'll reboot it and do your own thing. So, that's really the question right there, I think, is between those two, is does he have an agreement with Warner Brothers to not tack on to his work? Because I don't think he wants them to do that. Or is he going to write it in to make it so that they can't? Very interesting stuff. Let me know what you guys think about it. Obviously, this is all speculation because we don't know anything at this point. I hope you enjoyed this video talking a little bit more about The Dark Knight Rises and the amazing trilogy that Christopher Nolan has created. Look forward to my review, of course, of The Dark Knight Rises. That's it for this video, guys. See you for the next one. Later. Peace.